Depression. I see a lot of misconceptions about this or how to deal with / solve it. It's everywhere. But I see it here too, so here I am attempting my best to explain it and why it's so hard to deal with. Just like ignore this if you don't care. I don't know. This is not an official medical explanation of depression. No. I'm just some dumb fuck who has it and will best explain it. See that? Did you see it? Not even 2 paragraphs in and I'm insulting myself. Welcome to depression. Depression is when your brain hyper-focuses on the negative and that trickles down to your emotions, usually manifesting as sadness, hopelessness, anger, etc. The negative ones. It takes every scenario and just puts it in a negative light, all the way to the point where your mere existence is seen as negative. The most common advice I get to counter that is to think positively. Be happy. Focus on what you like about yourself. That's a natural state and way of thinking other people can do. Lucky fucks. Well, I can't. See, depression is a mental illness? Condition? I don't know the correct term, but it's a brain that is not functioning as what is considered the standard. Mental condition is what I'll use, and that's hard to understand. Example. Someone recently tried to explain what being an autist empath is, and I couldn't fully grasp it, much less relate to it. I need a whole other person to explain it in a way that I understood and realized, oh, that's why what I was doing was hurting my friends. Despite all that, I don't fully grasp it in an intuitive way. My brain doesn't work that way. It's still not a condition I fully get because I simply can't. I can only understand what not to do to hurt someone, as I am trying to do with this post in depression. See, with physical conditions we can grasp easier. If someone has no arms, or legs, even if you don't know what it feels like, you understand having arms, or legs, so therefore you can get what that's like on a better level to not have arms, or legs. You know their limits, like not being able to walk, and understand where the difficulties will lie easier. It's easier to empathize with what that's like, even if you don't truly understand. RUSP. If you saw someone in a wheelchair, RUSP, and demanded that they just stand up and walk, RUSP, you would be really insensitive and a fucking moron. Do it, RUSP? Obviously they can't just stand up and walk like you, RUSP. We all understand that. Mental conditions work the same way, but they are much harder to understand and relate to, so people end up being insensitive. So back to depression. Just try to think positively. Such simple advice misses the whole point. Someone suffering from depression can't do that. To even suggest as such is misunderstanding of how depression alters your thinking. I was given advice when I was 15 in my youth minister's office because I don't feel included. I was. But I didn't feel it and was just thinking more positively didn't help. I can't just do that. That's the shit my old boomer dad said. What are you complaining about? Your life's fine. Why are you sad when your life is doing so much better than others? Depression isn't logical. In fact, not a single one of you reading this has a brain that works on logic. RUSP. I saw photos posted from someone from my old church growing up where they did missionary work in extremely poor areas. Like intense fucking poverty. And some horrifying conditions in places that are just fucked compared to first world country where I live. So logically I could say, hey, my life isn't that bad. Look at those people in the hell they have to survive in. I'm so blessed to be in a place more comfortable than that. Therefore, why should I be depressed? Why should I feel so bad? If you think about it, the entire mental health section of the Discord should logically not exist, as everyone in here is in a much better condition than many places of the world. True? Why are we all venting and complaining when our lives are comparably better than most? Logically, of course. Our brains don't work that way, is why. Our emotions won't allow that. We have feelings, and when shit gets fucked, we just have to express our frustrations. We can't just be in a state of constant contentedness because we're not doing as bad as person X in situation X. Damn, the person and the situation are the same thing. What the fuck? Depression adds a constant negativity to every thought and only makes this more powerful. I felt not included and broken since fucking high school. Probably sooner even. I still feel that today. I felt like a burden on this Discord this whole time. People who know me more have heard me complain how frustrated I am with myself. How easy it is for me to just fucking drop suddenly. It keeps me from staying happy outside of moments that pass. Being a burden, let's talk about this. This is a big one. See, depressed people aren't stupid despite obvious backwards logic and thinking. We know our negativity harms others, drains them. Negativity is draining. I should know. I think that way all the time. We know this. We know how it affects our friends and family. It makes us feel even fucking worse. We feel like burdens because to interact with a depressed person is to risk interacting with negativity. Therefore, a burden. But wait, we get told we aren't burdens. I know. But knowing doesn't overpower our feelings all the time. How can we not be burdens? We make others' lives worse by interacting with them, and then people leave us, which in turn enforces that. See? Others leave us because we are draining, therefore we are burdens, therefore we should just die. I'm going to talk about suicide now, so please feel free to skip. It's important to address, though. You can't address depression and skip this aspect of it. I have another way to describe depression. We all have a will to survive. It's innate in life, our code. Depression is bad code that acts against that. Depression is a force that ultimately pushes through to going against the will to survive, to die, suicide. It's the ultimate end, the ultimate negativity though. It only makes sense depression always ends up walking that line. Many people kill themselves for many reasons, but the reasons I have those thoughts is simple. I'm hurting my friends, my family. I can't change my broken, depressed brain and be in a state where I can't stop hurting them, so I need to leave. Death being the most permanent leave one can do. As an added bonus, it gets rid of the pain, too. I mean, it only makes sense to someone with a broken, depressed brain. See, when someone says something like that, don't do it. Think of how much it will hurt your mother, or friends, or etc. Most people go, yeah, you're right. It'll hurt them, so I won't do that. Mine goes, hurt them? I'm a burden who's hurting them all the time. All that goes away when I'm dead, so my suicide is actually a positive in their lives. My dad won't have to feel embarrassed anymore. No one has to deal with negative messages or complaining. No one has to suffer with dealing with me anymore if there was no me. Of course, I'm still here. Simply put, our survival instinct is fucking strong, dude. And so much depressed people are stuck. We want to avoid hurting others, but our brain thinks negatively naturally. We want to die to solve that. But that also causes harm, and our will to live keeps most from taking that step. So every interaction with anyone close becomes a risk of causing pain due to how our brains just work. We can't just think positively or be happy, focus on the good over the bad, both in our circumstances of our own personal selves. So we just end up hating ourselves, and when people try to explain why we shouldn't, we just can't grasp it. Why doesn't everyone hate me? I mean, some do, and therefore shouldn't everyone? I do, after all. What's the solution? Fuck if I know. But I at least felt the need to explain depression, or at least my experience with it as best I could, and post it in the Discord that is built upon the desire to understand and empathize. If this isn't a safe place for it, then fuck. Where else is there? This has been a dramatic reading of a fucking embarrassing post.